Yes, are you able to see my screen now?
Yes, ma'am.
Right, students, we saw this prescriptive models. In this prescriptive models, we'll be having three categories. In that, first one is linear model. So linear model, we covered waterfall model and V model. So this comes under linear model. And next, we saw iterative model. So in textbooks, this iterative model will be given as a special category, or in some of the textbooks, they'll combine with linear model. Why? Because here the flow happens linearly. So in some textbooks, we'll be seeing this under linear, but this is an incremental model. So right, the second category, sorry, it's not iterative, it's incremental model. So the second category is incremental model. Here we saw this incremental model in previous class. There are some other models, but as far as syllabus is concerned, we are having only one model, incremental model. Later we'll be seeing some other models which are beyond the syllabus in the later classes. And next, the third category is evolutionary process model, students. So this is the third category. So I'm repeating, in specialized process models, we are having three categories. One is linear, one is incremental, and the third one is evolutionary. In linear model, we saw waterfall and V model. In incremental model, we saw incremental model. And in the third evolutionary model, we'll be seeing three models: prototyping model, spiral models, concurrent model, right? So all these comes under specialized models only. Within that, again, the category is divided. So as the name specifies, evolutionary, whenever we say evolutionary, it's meaning that the software is being released in different versions. That is what terminology you need to remember here. Evolutionary in the sense different increments, different versions. So evolutionary model is iterative. Iterative in nature. You know what's the meaning of iterative? So the same things happens repeatedly, right? So evolutionary models are iterative in nature. They are categorized in a manner that enables software engineers to develop increasingly more complete versions of the software. So when will we go for these iterative models, Liz? When the software can be released in different versions, when all the not complete software, but if you are having the facility that you can release your product in different versions, then you can choose any of these process models. So right, students, which model to choose for your product depends upon your application, right? If your application is to be released at a time in a single thing, if your project is to be released, then you should go for waterfall model or V model, right? If it can be released in different versions, then we can choose for evolutionary models. It depends upon your application, right? So in evolutionary, we'll be seeing upon three models: prototyping, spiral, and concurrent model. Now coming to this first category, prototyping model, it is more commonly prototyping is more commonly used as a technique that can be implemented within the context of any one of the process model. So what we mean to see here is any application can use this prototyping model. That is what we are saying here. Any sort of application, any sort of application you are going to develop can be developed by using this prototyping model. So the process in which the developers create the model of actual software. So now what's the reason for going into this prototyping? When will we choose this prototyping model is, for suppose, we'll come for a real life example. For a suppose, if you're planning to construct a house, you don't start constructing your house directly on site, right? You don't construct the wall immediately. So what we just do is, before going into the on-site work, we go for an engineer. We ask him to give him a plan, right? You'll be seeing the plan, how your model is going to be. So right, that plan is not the actual real product, but that is a model, maybe a template or a blueprint, which is going to resemble as the future building that we are going to construct, right? So in that model, in that plan, you'll be having a clear template of clear model of what is going to be done. So for suppose, if you want a window not to be on this left wall, if you want the window to be fixed on that right wall, or say any other corrections, any other room length corrections or anything, Within the plan, you can ask the engineer to change, then he will do it easily. But suppose if you are not going for a planning section, and if you start construction on site, and after the building is over, it will be difficult for you to remove a door from some part and fix it on some other part, right? So it will be beneficial if we have a clear model before before we are going into the actual product, right? So that is what we'll be seeing here in prototyping models, students. Here prototype is nothing but, here the developers, nothing but the programmers, are going to create a model. This is a model, a picture, a rough picture of actual software that is going to be constructed in future. See, generally when clients come to us, they ask us for they ask us to develop some project, but they don't have a clear picture of what to be developed. They just give one statement of purpose, but they're not clear of what should be included in that project, or what should be actually added in the. But they imagine that you are going to develop their product, very quality product or very beautiful product. Finally, they'll be imagining all these things in mind. The client will be mentioning all these things in mind, but he'll be not in a stage to say you all the things. He'll not be able to express all the things for the developers, right? It's the task of the developer to grasp, to take the objectives from the client, try to identify what actually the client finally wants, what's the picture that is going on in the client's mind. It's the developer task to identify that picture, right? So what the developer can do is, instead of actually going into the coding part, instead of actually starting into the coding part, what he'll do is, he'll just give a clear idea, clear model of what is going to be done in the future. This is what your project is going to look like. Will you be satisfied with this? He is not starting his coding part at all. He is not releasing the product. He is just giving a rough idea, right? If for suppose if some kids come and if your kids nearby you come and ask you to buy a car, you will just in the kid's mind, his way of car is it should be in some red color, or the model of the car should be like this. All this the kid will be imagining, but you people don't know what is running in the kid's mind, right? We'll bring one model, we'll buy some other car toy. He'll not be satisfied. Then you'll keep it aside and bring some other thing, right? It's a model, it's a rough print, right? So the same thing happens in the software development process also. So that is called as a model here. So the intention behind creating this model is to get the actual requirements more deeply from the user. Now, why the developer is going to show this model to the client? Why? Because by seeing that model, the client will be able to tell us some more things in detail. If I show one kind of model for the client, maybe it is not looking good. He'll say, no, not this one. I want some other thing to be added here, some other things. So by this, he is able to express what is running in his mind to some extent, right? So that is the main intention here. The intention behind creating this model is to get the actual requirements more deeply. So more deeply from the user, from the client, right? Prototype helps a lot in getting feedback from the user. So that is what we are saying here. When you show a model, he'll be giving us some other feedback, not this, not that, so and so, right? In the sense, I'll take all that feedback and include all the things in my real development product, right? The prototype begins with communication, as it is done in all the process models, in the all the SDLC process models. So all these comes are software development life cycle, right? All the software development life cycle process models. Even the prototyping model also begins with the communication phase. And after communication phase, what is the thing that is different from rest of the models is, in this prototyping you will be having a quick plan and a quick design. So you don't wait for much time. All the work will be done fastly here. So one other reason when we can go for prototyping is, you'll be having your final working product within you within a short time. So that is, in that case also we can go for prototyping model. So after communication, you'll have a quick plan, quick design. Then you know what is going to done. Rest of the thing is coding, testing, and deployment. All this happens here. But what differs from rest of the models is, here we will say quick plan and quick design, and rest of the models we say planning and design. So right, see here. So these are the 5 phases which you already saw in all the process models. One is communication. And next one is quick plan and quick model, quick design is done here. And based on this plans and designs, construction and prototype, construction or coding is done. Next, deployment is done. As I told you, this is evolutionary model. This continues for different iterations, right? Now here, the product is delivered to the client. If you'll take the feedback, if not satisfied, then you'll take some other requirements. Again, you'll do quick plan modeling, construction, deployment. So it keeps on, this iteration keeps on running until finally the client gets satisfied, right? So this is the rough picture of prototyping model, students. So the process models looks like this. All the 5 activities flow iteratively, one after the another. Generally in this prototypes, while you are showing a model, while you are showing a prototype to the client, generally there are 2 ways by which the developer will be developing the prototypes. One is throwaway prototype and the next one is evolutionary prototype. See students, here I'm giving an example. For example, you're given the project I gave for you is a student record submission. This is the project I asked you to develop, or some person, some client asked you to develop student record submission project. He gave you all the requirements, but he is not, he does not have a clear picture of how that website or application should look like. So what you'll do initially is, if you go for throwaway prototype, what you'll do is, you'll not start with any coding or anything. What we'll do is, you'll take a paint box, MS Paint, you'll take the paint application, you'll open that paint and you'll draw the diagrams. You'll do some painting. See here, I developed this box in paint. So this is a square. This is a square. Next I use some rectangles and draw some 5 rectangles. A box for image. This is a box for save, some upload. So all this is just a drawing. Instead of using pen and pencil or scale for drawing, I just opened MS Paint box and painted this. So what I'll do next is, I'll show this to the client. I'll ask him, no, this is the page that is going to look like. This is how the page is going to look like. So is this what you want? Are you satisfied with this? So what you'll do here is, you can give your text here. Next, if you press save, you will go some other way. This is where you can upload the image. So is this okay for you? If the client sees and says if it is okay, then what you'll do is, you'll start the actual development of this project. You'll throw away this part. Why? Because this is just a drawing, right? Just a paint box drawing, right? So this will not be useful for you in software development. So what you'll do is, you'll throw away this picture and start with the actual part. If the client requests some other changes, you'll add all these changes. If client requests some other field here, some other link here, so and so, you'll add all those, and again you will show it to him, right? We are calling this as throwaway. Why? Because if it is useful, if the client is satisfied, you will throw away this and start with the actual. This will not be useful in your development process. This is just a diagrammatic paint box, right? And next one is evolutionary. See, after throwaway, we told the second prototype is evolutionary. So what we'll do in evolutionary is, you'll actually start your project development, students. So this is the box we developed by using Visual Studio. So I took Visual Studio and I developed all this. These are some drag drop type of buttons which you are having in that toolbox, right? You can use the toolbox and directly drag drop. The code will be generated automatically. So what I'll do here is, I'll show this to the client here. So this is how the image is uploaded. I can enter some data here. I can enter the data. The text will be entered here. I can browse and upload some image here. I'll show him this is how the image is. Here I can't browse. I can just show the picture that. But here I can enter the data. I can browse the picture, everything. So I'll show this is how the picture looks like. But I'm not writing the actual code. I'll say finally I'll press the save button. Then it will move to some other page. Then the data will be stored in database. All that happens later on. But this is what the thing is going on. This is what I'll say to the user. If he is okay, then I'll take this one and actually I'll start the coding part. So what should be done next is, when I press save, this link should be carried on to some other page. When I say upload, some image should be uploaded here, right? So I should write the code for that. Now I'll take this part. This is half of the model I have developed, which will be useful. There is no need for me to throw this one. I'll take this part. I'll write the actual coding part in the backend, and this project goes on. So this comes under evolutionary. So prototyping is in both the cases, you are showing the model to the client. But in throwaway prototyping, you are showing a model which will not be useful for you later in the development, right? You throw away the developed part. Whereas in evolutionary prototype, you develop the model to some extent, which will be useful for you in the later project development part, right? So this is prototyping model, student. And what are the advantages of this prototyping model is users are actively involved in the development. See, in previous waterfall model or V model, all these kinds of things, only the user is being interacted in the communication phase, and he don't have any information later until and unless he get a product in during the deployment phase. At the last phase, he'll get the product. Until then, the client is not involved in any model, right? But see here in this prototyping model, what actually happens is we are initially giving some model to the client. Even though it's not the complete product, it is not the executable code, but you are showing some pictures. I'm showing some paint box, this picture, this drawing to him. In the sense, the customer will be having that I'm being involved in this project. I am clearly knowing what is going on day to day within that project. So he'll be having that kind of thought in his mind. So the customer will be actively involved. See, he is giving us some feedback here. By taking that feedback, we are making all the changes. So the customer will be satisfied from the initial stage itself, right? Since in this methodology, a working model of the system is provided, the users get a better understanding of the system being developed, right? See here in this evolutionary model, I gave him the working model. So this is just a paint thing, but in this model, what we did is, this is a working model. Why? Because I'm able to write text here. I type something here. I'm able to browse an image here. So this is a part of a working model, right? So the working model is given to the user in the beginning itself. So whenever it is developed, it is being given to the user. So the customer will be able to understand what is being developed easily, right? Now errors can be detected much earlier. A quicker user feedback is available, leading to better solutions. So right, by the end of the day, the client should be satisfied, right? Not not whoever are involved in that project. All the people come in the secondary phase. The primary thing we should keep on is all the time the client, the end user, the primary stakeholder, right? So the stakeholder is always involved in this project by giving feedbacks all the time, right? So finally, by the end of the day, that he will be satisfied, right? And missing functionalities can be detected easier. See here, so suppose if I mixed, these are the fields given by client. Here some name, roll number, address, so on. So I'm showing this functionality to the client initially. For suppose I forgot to keep an box for address here. So by mistake, if I forgot to involve this address box here, address text box here, then this the client will be seeing this, or some other person will be seeing, and he'll be intimating me that no, I need one field for address here also. You need please include that one. So even though I miss any of the things, any of the information, because I'm having clear communication with the client, I'll get the feedback from him and I'll include all those things. So missing functionalities can be detected, identified easily, right? So these are all the advantages of prototyping model. And next, coming to the disadvantages. So disadvantages is generally we see in many real life, even though in our projects also, not software projects, even though in our construction, any real estate kinds of thing, any apartments if you are going to buy. So while they are releasing the brochure, the apartment looks very hi-fi. It looks like where you are present in some United States or all those kinds of things will be present in that brochure when they give us initial pamphlets. But by the end, when the construction is over, the prototype, the model which they showed us initially will be different, and the construction field on the site that is present on that building is, that will be completely different, right? So that may also happen in software also. Initially, while giving the prototype to the user, I gave all the extra features, all some animations, graphics, everything over here. But maybe by the end, when it comes to real life development, maybe the CSS style sheets I have used background were not that effective, right? So that may be said as one of the disadvantage, right? The customer sees what appears to be a working version of the software, unaware that the prototype is held together, unaware that in the rush to get the working number, no one has considered overall software quality or long-term maintainability. So right, in this prototyping model, when we generally go is when you want the product to be delivered very fastly. So that is what we used, quick plan and quick model. So in that kind of rush, what generally happens is most of the cases the developers will not be focusing on the quality. They'll just be focusing on releasing the prototypes and developing that product fastly and giving away the product to the client. So even it generally happens for us also. If I ask you to submit an assignment, if I give you some 10 days of time, a good student, what he generally do is he browses, gathers the information, uses all the 10 days. He'll gather the information to some extent all the days, and finally he prepares a good copy, right, quality product, right? If I ask him to, if I give morning assignment, if I ask to submit you by the evening, even then you will submit the assignment. But what generally happens is, in rush or hurry, what you do is either you take the data from your friend completely, or you miss all the things. You'll not develop a quality product, right? So that is what happens in this software development also, in prototyping model. Because of hurry or because of rush, most of the cases software quality may be neglected by some of the development, and long-term maintainability will not be possible for that kind of products, right? The developer often makes implementation compromises in order to get a prototype more quickly. So the same thing we are repeating here. So what he generally do is he skips all the things. He just includes only the basic functionalities. He'll remove rest of the things, and he'll try to develop it fastly, right? So that is the reason he may skip some of the basic things while implementing the product, right? So once we get proper requirements from client after showing prototype model, it may not be of use, right? That is why sometimes we refer the prototype as throwaway prototype. So that is what I showed here. So this paint which I have drawn will not be useful for me in the future, right? This is only template I'm showing to the user. I should throw away that one. That will not be helpful in my development. So that may happen. That is one of the disadvantage. And it is slow process, expensive, time consuming. Generally user get confused with prototype and the actual software that is finally developed. So that I already told you. I'll be showing one thing in the prototype. In the initially, I'll show all the colors for him, and finally by the end of the software development, maybe I'll not be able to implement that product with that much of good quality, right? So this is what generally happens. Students, are you able to understand? Students, are you able to understand? Students, are you able to hear me? Students, are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Are you able to understand, or is it fast? So students, shall I go to the next model? Okay, right. Coming to the next model, spiral model. This is one of the important process model. The spiral model, it is proposed by Barry Bohan. The spiral model is an evolutionary. So this model comes under evolutionary model that couples the iterative nature of prototyping with the control and systematic aspects of waterfall model. So I can say that this spiral model is a combination of prototyping model that is iterative in nature. So iterative plus linear, both the combination we can call this as spiral model. So like linear in the sense waterfall model, one phase after the other, the continuous. Like iterative, all the 5 phases, after completing the 5 phases, again the same 5 phases can be repeated. So it comes under iterative also. So that is spiral model, student, proposed by Barry Bohan. And this is one of the most important spiral model. In most of the cases, if you are having any risk,
Screen is not updating now.
what?
Screen is not updating now.
You are stuck on the same slide. What are you able to see on my screen now?
Spiral model, ma'am. Clear?
Blank, ma'am.
Blanca.
No, ma'am. Spiral model.
See, when I'm sharing the screen, students, or maybe you're having some connection problem. You're stuck. Why don't you restart? No, I am able to hear your voice. That means you are connected. Please check, students. Rest of the students are able to see my screen, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Can I carry on?
Yes, ma'am. Continue.
So the spiral model is combination of iterative and waterfall model. So students, you know all these five activities from the beginning. So these are the 5 activities. All the activities happen one after the other. So I call it as linear. And this thing continues iteratively until the customer is satisfied. So it comes under iterative also. So this is how the spiral process model looks like. So see, I'm starting, see here. Generally a spiral model, we go for spiral model when you're having when you want clear risk analysis in your project. If the customer is not clear with the requirements, if you are not able to have a proper plan in the beginning, if you are having little doubt of cost estimation or risks that are going to come in the future, if you're expecting all this to be included in the future, then definitely we should go for spiral model. Why? Because in the spiral model, the risk will be analyzed in all the iterations. So, right. So see here, mainly the spiral model has 4 phases. First one is planning. As we know in activities, communication and planning, right? I'm combining both this communication and planning, and I'm saying it as planning. Here the communication also will be done here with the client. So now after planning, here the main thing that is special in spiral model is risk analysis. And after risk analysis, we'll go for design modeling, and after that testing and deployment. Testing will be done here, and the product will be given. So see here, initially in the planning phase, the spiral, you can see a small black color line here, right? So this is where the spiral starts. So initially in this quadrant, first quadrant, I'm starting. Here I'm gathering the requirements from the client. So, and I'm planning based on the requirements. I prepared a clear plan. So after completing the first quadrant, so next quadrant is the planning which you have done here. Based on that planning, clear analysis of risks that are going to occur. So whatever you planned here in that planning phase, what are all the risks that are going to occur? All the risk analysis will be done here. So analysis and design will be done here in the second quadrant. And after completing the second quadrant and third quadrant, we'll be developing the code, and testing will be done here. So development and testing will be done here. And next, after third quadrant, the spiral continues to fourth quadrant, construction and implementation. Sorry, here verification and testing is done here, and here the product will be given to the client. So that is here it's not implementation, evaluation, and the product will be given to the client here. So now one spiral, the inner spiral, has been completed. So this can be called as prototype. So until now one prototype has been over. No, until now prototype 1 has been over. Not the complete product has not been released, but what you have gathered, risks on that requirement, and preparing the designs and coding of the requirement, and final testing and giving it to the client. So until here, one part is over, right? One version is over, right? And next, again, you'll gather the requirements from the client. Again, you'll you'll do all the risk analysis, again the designing, and again the construction. The second spiral will be over. The second spiral will be called prototype 2, second version maybe. And next the third spiral, and next the fourth spiral. So number of spirals depends upon when the client will be satisfied. Until then, we'll be releasing this prototypes, right? So this is how the spiral model looks like. See here. So until now, if one spiral is over, I'll say this is prototype 1. And second phase, prototype 2. prototype 2 has been released to the client. And next, based on that, prototype 3, prototype 4. So how many number of spirals will we have? See, in this diagram, I had 4 prototypes, four spirals. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So by releasing the 4th prototype, the client is satisfied with that product. So finally, the product has been ended. The final increment has been ended. So this is how the product will be developed in spiral model, students. Now, when will we go for this spiral model? Is clear picture when you are not having the proper estimation of your product. That estimation can be either the cost. No, you plan that your project is going to be completed with this much cost, but you are not satisfied with that. You are having a doubt in your mind that that cost may be vary. In the sense, you will be having a risk in the future, right, regarding that cost. And if you are not knowing all the requirements in the beginning, if you are not having a proper plan, then definitely you will be having some risks that will be running in the later stages. So in that cases, definitely we should go for spiral model. So advantages of this spiral model is risk reduction. Why I'm saying risk reduction? See here, you gather some requirements and plan something, some kind of thing, right? In that planning, whatever you have done until then, here we are analyzing all the planning document you have planned and identifying all the risks that are going to occur in that, and you are able to find some solution for that risk in this part only, right? And after rectifying, identifying all the risks, then we are going for designing and modeling and coding all these kinds of things. So by this, the first prototype is completed. And in the second prototype, you gather some more requirements from the client, some other new features from the client. You plan some sort of thing here, how to develop, right? And based on that planning, again, I'm doing risk analysis here. So in all the phases, risk analysis is being done. So definitely, my risks will be reduced in the later phases. So risk analysis is the main advantage of this prototyping model. So functionalities can be added in the later phases. So that is what we are saying here. If the client is not satisfied with this, again a new feature will be given and new functionality can be added in the later phases, right? The functionalities will be repeated and the software is produced early. So since it comes under prototyping also, see, by this time I'm releasing one software and the second version I'm releasing in the second prototype, third prototype. So even the software will be released for you early, right? So these are all the advantages of spiral model. And coming to disadvantages, this model is more complex than other models. So most of the things, everyone feel that this process model is a little bit difficult to understand. So this, when compared to in the sense, when compared to linear waterfall model or V model, which are having only 5 phases, this spiral model seems to be little much complex when compared to rest of the model. And success is highly depend upon the risk analysis only. Finally, the product successfulness always depends upon the experts who are involved in this risk analysis. Here, if an expertise team is present and if they are able to identify all the risks in the beginning itself, then finally the product you are going to develop will be successful. Or else if you don't have an expertise team here, they are not able to identify, then definitely they will carry on to the next phases and finally your product will be a failure thing. So mostly the success of this product always depends upon the risk analysis on the expertise team, right? So those can be that can be said as one of the disadvantage here. So this comes under spiral model. And the last one in this evolutionary model is concurrent model. This concurrent model mainly until now we are saying only the activities, right? All the 5 activities, all the 5 activities in the process models, communication, planning, all these 5 activities, we are always pronouncing the activities. But in this concurrent model, you will be indicating at what state or which status all these 5 activities are. For example, I want to use a lift. I'm in ground floor. When I'm in ground floor, maybe the lift is in stop state, right? No one is using that lift. The lift is completely in maybe some power cut or something. The lift is completing in stop state. That is one state. One status of that lift is stop. Next, if the power you have the power was on, and now the lift is in waiting state, right? It is on, it is ready. If someone get into, then it will be working, moving on, right? So then the lift will be in waiting stage in the ground floor. Once I get in, the lift will be in running state. It is moving upwards, right? It will be in running state. And next, when I stop, again it comes into waiting state, again stop. If I consider a real life example as lift, that lift exhibits different states in its time, right? In its lifetime, right? So same, if I consider one activity, here I'm showing a modeling activity, nothing but designing activity, or think this is a communication activity. The first activity is communication, right? So think that this is a communication activity. So initially I gathered all the requirements from the client. I communicated with him, and I gathered all the requirements from the client. Then I'll be in inactive state. Why? Because I gathered all the requirements from the client. So that activity will be in inactive state. And right, once you are planning something regarding that requirements or doing something, now that will come under development state. So this is the state of communication activity. Initially it is in inactive state. Next it came into under development state. So you're developing, you're starting developing something. Now the client came and told you that not this requirement, some other requirement need to be added. Again, you will be going into awaiting state. Why? Because new features should be added again. New requirements are to be added again. So you'll go into awaiting state. And after awaiting state, you're waiting. And after awaiting state, when new features are added, some other requirements are added, again you will do revision, under revision. In the sense, those new things you will be adding into your document under revision. And after adding all the requirements into the document, you will do review. You'll verify here whether the requirements are added correctly or not. You'll be verifying here. So under review, and next after under review, baseline. Finally, you are finalizing the document, right? Next, you come into done state. Now your requirement finalizing is over. As part as communication is concerned, communication as activity is concerned, your requirement finalizing is over, your document is ready, done. Again, you will go back for awaiting state. Again, you will be waiting whether if your client wants some more things to be added, right? So these are not activities, these are the different states in which your activity is running through, right? Initially, when everything is over, it is in inactive state. When you want to start something, when you want to change something in the document, you are coming into development state. Client is giving you some more requirements, you need to add all those things, you are going into awaiting state. You are adding all those, you are revising all those, revision state. And next you are reviewing what has been added in the document, review state or verification state. Next you are finalizing, baselining, and next it is done. Okay, the process repeat on. So this is how the concurrent model looks like. In the concurrent model, we'll be focusing on all the states the activity is going on. So same thing with modeling state, same thing with testing state, same thing with coding, right, deployment state. In every state, every activity you take, you'll be having different states that is going through. So this is concurrent model. So same as rest of the models have, it is applicable for all types of software. Any application can be developed by using concurrent model, and it is easy to understand. And disadvantages, it needs better communication between the team. Why? Because to know all this status, where the activity has gone through, until which part we have developed. So to have all this understanding, first of all, you should have a clear understanding between all the developers that are involved in that project, right? So this comes under, all these comes under evolutionary process model. So in this evolutionary process model, why we call this as evolutionary, the basic thing is it is iterative in nature. The loop continues until the customer is satisfied. So we call it as iterative. In this iterative, we saw three types. One is prototyping, spiral, and concurrent. In this prototyping, we called it as prototyping. Why? Because here the developer will be giving a model, a rough model of what is going to be done in the future to the client initially. He's going to give a blueprint of what is going to be given to him finally, right? He'll be giving that in the initial stage, some blueprint kind of thing. So here the development create a model of actual software. That is the reason we call it as prototype. So this is how the prototyping model looks like, as same as the 5 activities, but in prototyping model we'll be using this model when you want the product to be delivered within short amount of time, very quickly, when compared to all the process models. If you want the product to be given very quick, very short time, then we'll go for prototyping model. So you'll have a communication and you'll clear based on this requirements. You'll fastly do a quick plan and quick modeling and develop and give it again communication. So this repeats on. And here we had 2 types of prototypes. One is throwaway and the second one is evolutionary. In the throwaway prototype, we told that you will give a model or a blueprint which will not be useful for you in the future for the development process, right? So here we gave a painting for the client. This is just a drawing which we showed for the client, asking him for his satisfaction whether this is the final web page that is going to look like after my development of the project is the thing you want. And next one is evolutionary prototype. Here the actual model development will be started. The actual model will be started, but it will not be completed. To some extent it will be started and be given to the client to ask his satisfaction, right? This is what is done in evolutionary. Then coming to advantages and disadvantages, this we saw. And next one is a spiral model. So when will we go for spiral model is the main thing is when you are having a risks in project. When you want a clear risk analysis in all the phases, then we should go for spiral model. And this spiral model is combination of prototyping and linear. So prototyping and a clear picture will be given to the client in all the phases, and linear, one after the other. 5 activities will be done one after the other. Then we'll go for spiral model. So see here, after this inner spiral is called as one prototype. You'll release this inner spiral first with some features, risks on that features, design, modeling, deployment. Now by this end, one prototype is released to the client. Now second prototype by adding new features, third prototype. So how far will we go until the client is satisfied? Here the client is satisfied by 4 prototypes. Now you'll end the project. This is the spiral model. Spiral, you should always remember this risk reduction. This is the main feature why we went for spiral. And next, concurrent models. Here we'll be focusing on the states that are going to be that are running on each activity. So if you want to have a clear tagline of what are all the states that are going on internally, then we should go for this concurrent model. And in this concurrent model, all the activity will be undergoing through different states, right? So this is what we showed here. And next, coming to advantages and disadvantages. Advantages are same as rest of the models, but disadvantages is to understand all these states, you should have a clear communication between the developers who are developing these things, right? So these are, so all this comes under prescriptive models. So students having any doubts?